I have never in my life seen so many teachers and educationists gathered in one place. There's so many of you, and I'm associated with you. If after all this association with thousands of teachers, I am still stupid, then I don't know what is. Either I'm really stupid, or your education system is not so good. Yang berhormat, Saudara Mahdi Khalid, Menteri Pelajaran Malaysia, Yang berhormat Menteri, yang berbahagia pegawai-pegawai pelajaran kanan dan kiri pun ada juga. Khususnya cikgu-cikgu yang membanjiri Dewan pada hari ini. Terima kasih. Thank you very much for listening to orang tua merapik pada hari ini, because I have a few observations to make in relation to education, basically in Sarawak. Number one, the state of our schools, the physical state of our schools. Unlike in West Malaysia, where the schools are beautiful, well constructed, well supplied, and so on, Sarawak is very backward in terms of schools, especially in the rural areas. So first thing first, before we talk about education policy, etc., let us build better schools first. There are schools in Sarawak, especially in the rural areas, rempek kata orang. Rempek, si ada air, si ada listrik, macam-macam. Macam-macam kekurangan. And some schools are just uninhabitable. So let us solve that problem first before we can talk about policy and so on. I am saying this in front of the Minister for Education because he can do something about it. I will not say it in front of other ministers because they cannot do anything about it. But he can do something about it, and I know he will do something about it. Then you talk about the quality of teachers, the curriculum, and so on. So Sarawak, especially in the rural areas, is still quite primitive in facilitating and giving facilities for our schools. I don't worry about urban areas. Kacak sekolah muli bandar-bandar. That will take care of itself. It is the poor state of schools in the rural areas which must be taken care of first. In line with our state policy of developing rural areas. Kawasan luar bandar, kawasan luar bandar. I always said, if you want to find out how many poor people there are in Sarawak, go to the rural areas. Then you know what poverty means. And if you want to find out how many rich people there are, go to the urban areas, how being wealthy means. So the gap between the rural and urban areas is very wide. Therefore, it must be narrowed down, especially to allowing the rural areas to catch up with the rest of the country. And also, for Sarawak to catch up with the rest of the country. Tidak dapat dinafikan bahawa jika kita banding negeri-negeri di Semenanjung dengan negeri Sarawak, kita lebih mundur lagi. So what do you have in West Malaysia? We also want it in Sarawak. And I am sure the Minister of Education sympathizes with me on this matter. And he will know what to do. I told the Prime Minister that Sarawak is not at par with the rest of Malaysia, except perhaps Sabah. So we had time to catch up. In West Malaysia, the target is middle class, middle income by 2020. In Sarawak, we have to be conservative, only 10 years after that, 2030. That is being realistic. Jangan nak angan-angan, you can catch up very quickly. And that is why you must give Sarawak a handicap. Macam kita main golf. Handicap kita tinggi, the people who have got a lower handicap must give you advantage. So I am seeking, therefore, on behalf of Sarawak, to have that advantage so that we can catch up with the rest of the country. So that is a physical condition that we have to improve on. Number two, then we talk about policy. I am sorry, but I am quite unhappy with the way education policy is implemented. With all due respect, every time there is a flip-flop, tukar dasar ini, tukar dasar itu, as soon as the new dasar comes in, the old dasar goes, and even the teachers themselves are confused. Not nak lekot tu. Not nak lekot tu, penin palak tu. Kini aku nak ngajar dalam biak tu. Kali Datuk, kali Daya. Aku sibuk saja. Kalian bodoh semua. So there must be consistency. There must be consistency in the implementation of that policy. I have known so many education ministers from the time of Musa Hitam. And banyaklah dasar-dasar digubahkan, ada yang bagus, tapi ada yang kurang bagus. Dan di Sarawak ini, I can tell you, lucky we had Tun Rahman Yaakob as Minister of Education in late 60s and 1970. You know why? Because while he implemented the Bahasa Malaysia only policy in Semenanjung, he did not implement it in Sarawak. Very clever. Pandai Tun Rahman Yaakob. Pandai. I got a vision. He was my political enemy, I know, but doesn't matter. Jangan udah lah. He's no more with us anyway, so doa surga terang lah. And that is why the standard of English in Sarawak and I dare say in Sabah is better than it is in West Malaysia. I'm sorry to say that. And that policy, Bahasa Malaysia saja, and to put down English is not a good policy. It has got to damage us. All this, we are behind by 10, even 20 years. So I hope the new Minister of Education will look into this matter and promote the use of English among us Malaysians. I advocate a policy whereby at least people are trilingual. Nomor satu, bahasa ibunda mereka tentu sekali lah. Kedua, bahasa Malaysia, kerana itu bahasa negara kita. Dan ketiga, English. Kalau kita hendak berhubung dengan dunia outside of Malaysia. English is an international language. It is the language of science, of technology, of history, of philosophy, and so many other subjects under the sun. It has become an international language. It is no longer the language of our colonial masters. It is no longer the language of the Anglo-Saxon people in England. It is an international language, and we will be left behind. Kita akan ketinggalan oleh dunia yang di luar kita jika kita tidak memberi berat perkara proficiency in English. I'm sorry, but there are people opposed to this one, but I think we must accept the elephant in the room, not pretend that it is not there. Otherwise, you will be trampled by the elephant. Nyaman. So I hope there will be some adjustment with respect to the use of the English language in Malaysia. We are a trading nation. We contact the rest of the world for trade and commerce. And not everybody can speak Malay. Not every Malay can speak French, but they can speak English. And when their two nationalities meet, they always prefer English to be understood by each other. So hence, you must underline the use of English. And one of the dire results, kesan yang buruk, ialah banyak orang kita tidak dapat kerja, especially by multinational and international companies, because they are not proficient in English. Nama akak jakut, nak nemu jakut orang putih. In China, they give special allowance to Chinese diplomats and so on who can speak English. They get extras, so they encourage people to study the English language because they know that it is the language of the future. Even in Mongolia, ni negeri Mongolia nak aku tahu. It is one country which is tiada laut, you know. It is landlocked country. Somebody told me that every time the Mongolian come to Malaysia, they will pay courtesy visit to Prime Minister, and then they all go to Port Dickson. You know why? Because they want to see laut. They've never seen laut in their life. So, but even they want to know English. And it is the language of the United Nations, and so on and so forth. So proficiency in this language is very useful for our young people in the future. The second aspect is technical education. Technical education. We are still under the mentality of academic education only. Mun orang tu ngotor tangan jadi mekanik ke apa ke, rendah lah sarap orang tu. Tapi punya ada office, aircon, bertelefon, pandai lah orang tu. Masih ada prejudis. Tapi walhal, mun kita mau gaji besar, senang cari kerja, technical education. Sekolah-sekolah teknikal kita situ, nemiak ya, belum ada graduate, sudah diambil kerja. Kadang-kadang gajinya lebih daripada gaji cikgunya pun. Technical education, emphasis on technical education. The former Prime Minister Tun Mahathir has brought industrialization to our country. Perindustrian untuk negara kita. Tidak lagi hanya mengeluarkan bahan mentah. Tapi industrialization requires technical skills. Kemahiran dalam macam-macam usaha technical. You need thousands of them. In Bintulu alone, with investment into the billions, they need so many personnel, technical personnel. So the emphasis therefore must be on English, on of course the physical state of the school, on English, on technical education. And with regard to, there's one small matter. Why do we deny non-citizens from going to our schools? I don't understand this one. You have Indonesian children and other from nationalities, and they cannot join our schools to sit for our SPM, SPRM, apa. I don't know why. Well, why not? Why cannot they sit for that one? It is an honor for us that people want to learn our system. We encourage scholars from universities to join our universities. Graduates from Africa, etc., come to our universities. Why not at primary school? Why not at secondary school if they want to? Why do we have to stop them? Deny them education? Kesian lah kadang-kadang. Orang lain pergi sekolah, anaknya asyik boleh. Ingin nak belajar macam orang lain, asyik boleh. Takkan bodoh nak biarkan kelak. I mean, this kind of policy, please lah. I appeal to the Minister for Education, reconsider this thing. Reconsider this thing. If people want to adopt your system of education, why not? Why not? What have you got to lose? And there are not many of them anyway. There are not many of them anyway. And that is a small matter, but it can be solved immediately. Jadi ya ajak jaku aku, na ibu ka jaku panjang-panjang, ada orang madah mulis tu aku baca, ngai aku dek. Aku ingin jaku ka data dia tu lah, bukan dia tu. So, once in a while, it is good to have convention like this. There will be exchange of ideas, you get to know each other, and so on and so forth. And you will put in greater effort with regard to development in the rest of the world. Now education is not just writing, arithmetic, and so on, but more than that, mass education, mass communication. Dulu, if you want knowledge, baca buku. That's the only source of knowledge. Sekarang macam-macam. Open the TV set, the computer, the whole world is at your feet. So you must adapt yourself to that sort of situation, because if you don't, you will be left behind. Si ada orang nak colup nunggu kita. Colup dulu Malaysia pergi dudi. Kesian jenis tu. Betul hanya mahu. So that is the quality of our manpower must be raised. You look at Singapore, you look at Hong Kong. They got no natural resources at all, but become world number one countries because of skills, because of the profession, because of the manpower. we already have the natural resources. If we add on to that skills and professional approach to things, we can do even much better than Singapore and Hong Kong. So these are the possibilities that we can pursue in the future. So there we are. If you want to talk to me about empowerment, I don't think that is a subject to bring now. But I have talked to the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, and they are quite positive about giving back some of the powers that Sarawak enjoyed 50 years ago. I have a positive response from them. I'm happy with that for the time being. And these negotiations are going to be very complicated, very delicate, very involved. And that is why I need 5 more years. Dua tahun bekal, tidak cukup. I have made 50 decisions in the last 2 years. What more to say if I'm given 5 more years? After that, I will retire. Sudah cukup. I'm already 72. In 5 years' time, I'll be 77. I'll probably be senile. Even now, my wife complains. I cannot do anything at night. Apa je, mati aku. Ada jauh hati nak berbini dua. Tapi takut. Rangkat jemilah ya po. But anyway, look at something positive and give me the time that is required so that I can fulfill. I fulfill some promises already. Reduction in electricity, no toll, etc., etc., and my negotiation with central government with regard to oil and so forth. And if I am given a very big mandate, because today's mandate is Thai's mandate, it's not my mandate, isn't it? It's Thai's mandate, not mine. But if I'm given a big mandate, then I'm sure KL will listen to me. And I hope they will. Even now, Prime Minister is sympathetic, Deputy Prime Minister is sympathetic. And they come here almost once a month. Bagus. At least kita tidak dianggap sebagai anak tiri di Malaysia. We don't want to be regarded as the adopted child and so on. We must be treated the same way because we all sing Negaraku. Dah bawa pagi kita berlagu Negaraku. And it is sung not only in West Malaysia, but also in Kuching, in Miri, in Sibu, in Lembang, everywhere. So jika kita sama lagu, tentulah sama sejiwa, sama apa nama? Kenapa Timah tu, Pak? Sehati, sejiwa, senada. Sama-sama kita. And kita peliharakan multi-racial harmony in Sarawak. Anang kat Niti, bisik kat bara di Semenanjung. Tiap-tiap hari berpentis. Apunya, Melayu kat pentis Cina, Cina pentis Melayu, minta India. Anang ikutnya. Ikut cara kita Sarawak tu aja. Tangga kita situ, tangga dalam lewan tu apa? Bisik laut, bisik Cina, bisik Daya, bisik orang Hulu, boleh duduk sama, minum sama, makan sama, cari amoy pun sama. Jadi ya jago aku, nah ibu ke jago panjang-panjang, terima kasih. Aku harap rakan-rakan kita dari Semenanjung nemu ke jago aku. Terima kasih.